Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Commander, retired Jason Laurion, your Master of Ceremonies for today's event. It is my distinct privilege to welcome you to Naval Undersea Museum, Keyport, as we celebrate one of our most cherished and time-honored traditions. Today, the men and women of CSCS Det Pacific Northwest pay special tribute to Lieutenant Commander Blaine Laurion upon his retirement from the United States Navy. The military retirement ceremony is one of the oldest traditions in the military service, which honors its service members and their families as they culminate a distinguished career serving their country. A formal retirement ceremony is designed to leave our retirees and their families with a tangible expression of appreciation for their contributions to the Navy and its mission, as well as our assurance that they will continue to be members of our Navy family. The ceremony concludes when the retiring sailor's shipmate piped the side, sending their shipmate ashore for the last time. Please take this opportunity to silence all cell phones. Do it. As a reminder, during the playing of our national anthem, military members should stand at attention, and it is encouraged that civilians place their right hands over their hearts. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Commander Ramil Kapili, Officer in Charge, SPA War Systems Activity Pacific. In keeping with naval tradition, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of the official party and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and the invocation by Mr. Chad Alvarado. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Detail, attention, carry, colors. Port, arms. Shoulder, arms. Forward, march. Ready, halt. Left, face.
Color Guard, retire the colors.
Order, arms. Forward, arms. Shoulder, arms. Right, face. Forward, march.
Lord, thank you for this great day to celebrate a life lived well. Lord, thank you for the service of our men and women, but specifically of Blaine Laurion today. God, we ask that you would be blessed by these proceedings today. We ask that everything that is spoken here would bring great honor to your name. Lord, we pray that it would bring honor to the families involved and to this great country. God, we dedicate this service to you. In Jesus' name, and everyone said, Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you, Chad, for those inspiring words of prayer. Thank you all for taking the time to join us here today for this special occasion. I'd like to take a moment and recognize Lieutenant Commander Laurion's family. Please hold your applause until all family members have been introduced. His wife, Lisa, his daughter, Emma, his son, Aiden, his parents, Dan and Anita O'Connor, his brother, Michael Laurion, and his wife, Tammy, his brother, Lieutenant Commander retired Jason Laurion, and his beautiful wife, Karen, his father and mother-in-law, Lloyd and Kathy Tufts. Welcome. We're gathered this afternoon to witness the final stage in a very full and productive 29-and-a-half-year military career. We're also gathered to say thank you to a good shipmate. Thank you for his many contributions, which in their own unique way have made our Navy a stronger and more capable force. Thank you for being the type of leader and mentor that has ensured our next generation of sailors are ready to meet the challenges of tomorrow. Just as this is the end of one phase in his life, it's also the beginning of another. So our gathering today gives us the opportunity to wish him every success in that future as he looks forward to new challenges and opportunities. At this time, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Commander Retired Ricky Beatty.
Hopefully this is turned on. All right. Good afternoon and welcome to Blaine's family, friends, and shipmates. Thanks, Blaine, for inviting me to and allowing me the privilege to say a few words here at your retirement today. I'm truly honored to be part of your retirement ceremony and to recognize 29 years of service to our nation and Navy. I also want to thank you on behalf of the audience, not for having this old sailor try to put his uniform back on. It wouldn't have been a pretty sight. And oh, by the way, happy birthday. All right. This is a big day filled with time-honored naval tradition to celebrate a Navy leader who concluded a lifetime of distinguished service wearing the uniform of the United States Navy. But before I get started, I want to take a moment to recognize some very important people in Blaine's life, which was introduced before, but his wife, Lisa, daughter, Emma, son, Aiden, parents, Dan and Anita, brother, Michael and wife, Tammy, brother, Jason, wife, Karen, and Lloyd and Kathy Tufts. On behalf of the nation, I'd like to thank you for your support and sacrifices during Blaine's career. You can stand proud to recognize him today. 29 years. You know, you usually get to make some old-timer jokes, but when the guy's older than the... it kind of takes it away. But anyway, 29 years ago, 29 years doing anything is an accomplishment. But 29 years in the Navy commands respect. Yes, that's right. 29 years ago, back in 1988, a young man from Bremerton raised his right arm and said, "I'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States." At that time, he wrote a blank check to the United States of America for up to and including his life. This is something that about only 1% of our nation's population can say that they have done. What a commitment. Where were you 29 years ago? I kind of know where I was. As I look around, I can see a few of you weren't even born. But for the few of us that were, I want to share a few things from that time. George H.W. Bush wins the presidential election over Michael Dukakis at that time. USS Samuel B. Roberts is mined in the Persian Gulf while deployed in support of Operations Earnest Will, the tanker wars. Al-Qaeda is formed by Osama bin Laden. The top songs at that time were Faith. I can see you dancing to that. Need You Tonight, In Excess, and Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. On the big screen, Rain Man, Big, and everyone's favorite, Friday the 13th, Part 7. What are we on, 22 now or something like that? All right. Popular TV shows were The Wonder Years, Roseanne, and my favorite, Mystery Science Theater 3000. In sports, the Washington Redskins beat the Denver Broncos 42-10 in the Super Bowl 22. The Los Angeles Dodgers win the World Series 4-1 over the Oakland Athletics. The LA Lakers beat the Detroit Pistons in the NBA Finals 4-3. And get this, the average cost of a house was $91,600. Wouldn't we like that now? Average income was $24,450. Average car price was $10,400, and a gallon of gas was a whopping 91 cents. Great memories. These are just a few things that were happening when Blaine started his Navy career. Like most of us, I'm not sure that he thought it was going to be a career when he first started. But I, for one, Blaine, I'm certainly glad you did, because our Navy is so much better before. So, thanks, buddy. I won't go over all his duty stations as they are listed in the program, but I do want to take the time to highlight a few from his 29-year career. He served on board 6 ships, went on 8 deployments, numerous years of sea duty, shore duty tours as a Navy recruiter and base operations officer. He achieved qualifications as an anti-submarine air controller, a tactical action officer, and a joint interface control officer, just to name a few. For those of us that wear or have worn the uniform, you know how challenging those assignments are, both personally and professionally, and I'm sure your family knows how tough they were too, because you're away during that. Take a lot of time away from home. But Blaine has never shied away from challenges. That is why he has been so successful in his career. He has promoted a total of 9 times during his career. That's pretty impressive, especially when you consider that the enlisted ranks go E1 through E9 and the officer ranks go O1 to O10. Blaine bridged them both. Pretty impressive. In 2001, Blaine became part of the 1% of the 1% that received a commission as a limited duty officer, better known as a Mustang, an elite group of professionals who earn a commission from the enlisted ranks based on their leadership, technical proficiency, and experience, not because they've earned a degree. Personally, and I may be a little biased, of course you know I am, I think LDOs are the best officers, no offense to anybody, but Blaine is certainly one of the best that I know of. I first met Blaine in 2010 when I reported Strike Group 3 as the Aviation Readiness Officer. He's one of the first officers and one of the first persons to meet me. With a big smile on his face and a hearty handshake, Blaine welcomed me to the strike group. I thought to myself, wow, I like this guy. He's gone out of his way to make me feel welcome. But quickly I learned the big smile on his face because he got to turn over the dreaded DERS-N, Defense Readiness Reporting System Navy, job to me. Blaine, I know how excited you felt because I had a big smile on my face when I turned it over too. But all jokes aside, it didn't take me long to be impressed with Blaine. His true impressive work ethics, his knowledge of strike group operations, his mad skills at managing the joint interface control systems on board the strike group as a JITCO, and most importantly, the way he led and took care of his team. Seeing someone who is so passionate about taking care of his team, I knew this was a man of true character and someone I wanted to be friends with. Well, friends we became. He was not only my Liberty partner during our deployment on board USS John C. Stennis. Sorry, no dirt. We were too old and too wise. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We also became each other's sounding board for all the stresses that are associated with being on deployment. Blaine, you are a true friend, and I appreciate the support you have given me throughout the years. Whether it was helping me get prepared in Singapore for emergency leave, or when you were the base OPSO, you ensured my family was taken care of when I returned from port from my last deployment. Thank you, brother. Blaine stands before us today as a shining example of how you can achieve great success with hard work, motivation, and just being a great person. He is an outstanding naval officer who cares about his sailors, an expert in his field, and a true friend to all his shipmates. Blaine, as this chapter of your life closes, please look forward to the next one, because life has only just begun. As you think of this today, I'm sure you're filled with a lot of mixed emotions. I'm sure you are. But I hope the emotion you're most filled with is pride, because you, my friend, have had a fantastic career. You have made such an impact on so many sailors, both junior and senior alike. And that impact will have a positive effect on the Navy for years to come. Know this, Blaine. All those years of hard work, dedication, and sacrifice was worth it because you made a difference. The Navy is a far better organization because of you, my friend. Be proud, be proud. I'm very humbled and honored to have served and to call you a shipmate, but most important to me, I'm proud to call you a friend. Now it's time to relax and enjoy the well-deserved time with your family. May God bless you and your family as you embark on your next adventure. Fair winds and following seas, my friend.
Thank you, Commander Beatty. At this time, I'd like to introduce the presiding officer for today's ceremony, Commander Ramil Capelli, Officer in Charge, Spa War Systems Activity Pacific.
All right, good afternoon. So I'm certainly humbled to offer some brief remarks, bid farewell, and honor our beloved Blaine, who is retiring from the Navy after 29 years of faithful and dedicated service. With yesterday being the 76th anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attacks, it is so fitting to look back and reflect on the great naval career that helped shape what the Navy is today. I'm going to piggyback on acknowledging the important people in Blaine's life again. Lisa, you truly are the one who completed Blaine. You have given him much happiness, and I'm certain he's looking forward to spending more time with you as you both start the next phase together. Thank you for the joy that you have delivered to his life. Emma and Aiden, you are your dad's pride and joy. You have been riding along this Navy ride all your lives and have sacrificed so much time with him so he can serve this great country, this great country of ours. Thank you for being alongside supporting him. Blaine's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Laurion, I know how tremendously proud you are of your son, and you have every right to be. You have instilled the basic values that have made him a credit to the U.S. Navy. I thank you very much for sending us your son. So I first met Blaine 18 years ago in June 1999 when I was a young ensign reporting aboard my first ship, the USS Sacramento, homeported in Bremerton. He was a very competent young operations specialist first-class petty officer who was just selected to join the officer ranks as a limited duty officer, as we had heard. What struck me was how great of a leader he was already then. As leading petty officer, his junior sailors sought his guidance and leadership to help them execute their mission and achieve their professional and personal goals. Blaine instantly became one of my mentors as I was trying to achieve my surface warfare officer qualification. So really, he was the one who helped me get this pin right here. And I spent a whole lot of time together trying to get me smarter on things. I sat down with him on many occasions in my quest to absorb the Navy knowledge that he had in his big brain. He was an absolute superstar, trusted by the entire ship leadership, to include 2 commanding officers who eventually became 3-star admirals. OS-1 Laurion was as impressive as any sailor can be and was the epitome of a stellar sailor. Seeing Blaine in action do his job was quite spectacular. From doing his navigation plots, vectoring in helicopters for landing, driving the ship in and out of danger, and always keeping the big picture of everything that's going on. He always kept his cool and composure under pressure and was always able to make the right decisions. His contributions to the Navy are immeasurable. From the senior officers, his colleagues and peers, and subordinates who served with him, I'm certain that Blaine, in one way or another, had a positive impact on their naval careers and made them better sailors. Blaine and I continued staying in touch with each other, especially since our respective follow-on tours after the USS Sacramento was in San Diego. He and I are both sports fanatics, and one thing that really brought us even closer is our love for running. We did quite a few training runs and races together, and even when my family and I moved overseas for 4 years, I would always attempt to catch up with him on some runs whenever I'd go back to the States and he's close by. He was even my running buddy the morning of my wedding day as I went for my last run as a single man. And no, he didn't urge me to run away from the ceremony. To this day, my lovely wife and I truly value and are thankful for Blaine's friendship over the years. Blaine, as you close this chapter in your life and begin writing a new one, I'm sure you have mixed emotions, as Rick had already mentioned. Sadness, pride, apprehension, anticipation. No more ships, no more deployments, no more duties, no more watches. But please continue to pass on your experiences to the younger generation. Thank you for all your sacrifices and dedication to our mighty Navy. You truly made a difference, and the U.S. Navy is a far stronger organization today because of your 29 years of service. Fair winds and following seas, shipmate. God bless you and your family. God bless the U.S. Navy, and God bless the USA. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal, Lieutenant Commander Laurion's End of Tour Award. Lieutenant Commander Laurion, front center. Attention to orders. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Commander Blaine A. Laurion, United States Navy, for services as set forth in the following citation. For outstanding meritorious service as Officer in Charge, Center for Surface Combat Systems Detachment, Pacific Northwest, Everett, Washington, from August 2015 to December 2017. Lieutenant Commander Laurion expertly led 12 instructors and 3 contractors, managing 48 challenging courses of instruction available to 5 guided missile destroyers, 2 aircraft carrier, strike group, and destroyer squadron staffs, including 53 on-site class convenings, and over 25 off-site training support missions with 0 lost training days. His command is the only Center for Surface Combat Systems Detachment with 100% Master Training Specialist qualification and has had 100% instructor certification rate, 100% physical fitness assessment pass rate, and 100% retention. During his time as Officer in Charge, 4 of 7 first-class petty officers advanced to Chief Petty Officer, and many of his personnel provided top-notch community service, resulting in their receipt of accolades. Lieutenant Commander Laurion meticulously managed $311,000 in personnel property, including all information technology assets, smartboards, projectors, and printers, as well as a comprehensive arms, ammunition, and explosives program valued at over $316,000. Lieutenant Commander Laurion's superior performance of duties highlights the culmination of 29 years of honorable and dedicated service. By his dynamic direction, keen judgment, and loyal devotion to duty, Lieutenant Commander Laurion reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, Kyle J. Kozad, Rear Admiral, United States Navy. Please be seated. Commander Capelli will now present Lieutenant Commander Laurion his certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. It reads, "To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Lieutenant Commander Blaine A. Laurion, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Navy on the 8th day of December, 2017. Signed, Robert P. Burke, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Chief of Naval Personnel." And now, Commander Capelli will present the family certificates of appreciation from Commander, Center for Surface Combat Systems to Mrs. Lisa Laurion, Emma Laurion, and Aidan Laurion. Mrs. Laurion, Emma, and Aidan, please join Commander Capelli and Blaine on stage. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Lisa R. Laurion, Emma A. Laurion, and Aiden R. Laurion have earned grateful appreciation for their unselfish, faithful, and devoted service during her husband and father's Navy career. Unfailing support and understanding helped to make Lieutenant Commander Blaine Laurion's lasting contribution to the Navy and this nation. Given this first day of January 2018, signed, Frank Z. Castellano, Captain, United States Navy. Thank you. And now, you may sit, Blaine, you may not. And now, Chief Stefanelli and ET1 Payne will present Lieutenant Commander Laurion with his sea chest and shadow box. Lieutenant Commander Laurion, this shadow box depicts your career achievements in the United States Navy. It includes your many personal awards and a chronological list of all your duty stations. The flag encased in this shadow box was flown over Naval Base Kitsap. So it's the detachment gift as well. The man from Blaine's detachment provided a gift. Thank you. Along with the shadow box, Lieutenant Commander Laurion received various congratulatory letters from former United States presidents. You are invited to view them on the award table at the conclusion of the ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Commander Laurion's brother Michael will now lead a special presentation of the flag of the United States of America. Flag detail, post.
Forward, march. Up, bow, face.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military powers in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I'm arrogant. I am proud. When I'm flown my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I'm recognized all over the world. I am worshipped. I'm saluted. I'm respected. I'm revered. I am loved. And I am feared. I have fought every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the deserts of Africa, the cane fields of the Philippines, the rice paddies and jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and scores of places long forgotten by all those who were with me. I was there. I led my soldiers. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired, but my soldiers cheered me, and I was proud. I've been soiled, burned, torn, trampled on the streets of countries that I'd helped set free. It does not hurt. I'm invincible. I've been soiled, burned, torn, trampled on the streets of my country, and was by those with whom I served in battle. It hurts, but I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bounds of earth and stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space from my vantage point on the moon. I've been silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hour comes when I'm torn into strips, used for bandages, wounded comrades on the battlefield, when I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother, the graveside of her fallen son. I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Dear God, long may I wave.
Forward, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Lieutenant Commander Blaine Laurion.
Wow, thank you all for coming today. I'm truly humbled to be here with all of you. When I first came in the Navy a couple years ago, I didn't really think I was going to stay that long. In fact, I was going to stay 4 years. But then I decided to stay a little bit longer, and somehow here I am. So, I really did, a couple years ago, I was, 20 whatever years in the Navy. I really didn't want to have a ceremony. I didn't feel that it was worth the time to make everybody come out. I didn't do it, for people to come out and see me. It's just how I am. I didn't want to have a bunch of people have to worry about coming out to something like this. And then somebody that I respected a lot told me, this ceremony is not for you, it's for your family. For you to thank them for all that they've done for you during this time, for them to see all that you've done while you've been gone during this time. So from that point on, I pretty much said, okay, I better do a ceremony, because if it's for my family, then I'm all about doing it. So it was pretty easy after that. I thought about what I was going to say for a long time. And then I sat down to write a speech, and I totally forgot everything I was thinking of over the last several years. But really, like all good retirement ceremonies, I have to start by saying thank you. Thank you to everyone that helped me get here today. Starting, of course, with my parents, Dan and Anita, who were there from the beginning, who've been there supporting me from the start and all my life, who've given me what it took to succeed in the Navy. My brothers Michael and Jason both served in the Navy and always pushed me to be my best as we were growing up. And of course to their spouses who always supported my time in the Navy. So many in family and friends that it was too hard to count, really. I mean, several of you here I've known most of my life. Thank you to all of you that have pushed me and supported me. To my shipmates near and far, thank you. Ramil, I've known 17 years, whatever it was. It's been a while. 18. Geez. Yeah, I'd lose my memory. We've run 7 marathons together. We just always found the time to get together and go for a run and do stuff. We've known each other since we were just younger sailors in the Navy. Ramil's also a Mustang, even though he looks younger, but he's been around for a little while. As a matter of fact, my commissioning day, it was his birthday. And so I commissioned on your birthday, and I'm going to retire on mine. I'm very happy, very glad, very proud to say Ramil is a friend of mine, and he flew out here from Hawaii to be a part of this ceremony. I couldn't think of anybody else that I would rather have here as my retiring officer. Of course, most of the officers I know are already gone, so I couldn't ask them. But really, it's a chance for me to get to see Ramil again. We're not going to go for a run because we're not going to. and to just talk to Ramil about the thermometer again. That's an inside joke to chill everybody. So really, thank you for coming. Thank you to Naomi and to the kids for allowing you to come out here to, get away from Hawaii and the terrible weather you're having and to enjoy the beautiful Packer Western. RB, Ricky Baby. Ricky is the guy who really showed me what the Navy family is about. Before I was on the strike group staff, it was just a job, it was just a place to be. I enjoyed what I did, I was good at what I did, but then I went home and that was it. Ricky was there for me when I felt that my life was out of control. We had the connection that you have with family. And so we were able to sit down and talk all the time. We were Liberty buddies, like you said. So it was easy to have a guy that you got along with to just go out when you're overseas and not get in trouble and just be able to just go out and have fun and get home safely and quietly and not get in trouble. As he said, when we pulled into Singapore, that was a time that we were in charge of setting up the admin room. And for those of you who don't know that, when we pull into a port, the officer is a warden of the community, gets together and they rent a big hotel room. And then that's a place where we go and get food and drinks and the place just to hang out and unwind without going out and getting crazy at a bar or whatever. And so we got lucky enough to be the ones in charge of going to get the admin room ready, which means we got off the ship right away before everybody else while they were still tying stuff down. We got to go run around the town, get a car, go get all the food. We went to the store in Singapore, and we're shopping around, and we were like little kids because we got to buy whatever we wanted. And we looked over, and there was Tillamook cheese in Singapore. And we were so excited. He's from Oregon. And so we got a whole bunch of Tillamook cheese. But that night it was gone. It did not last because everybody wanted the Tillamook cheese because that's what they remembered from home. And it was just kind of that chance. We were on month 5 of our 7-month deployment. So it was something to remind people of home but still have that time together. So that was also the time, as RB said, that he had to fly home early. After we got home, he got bad news, and so he had to fly home. But we were able to spend time together and get everything scheduled and get him out of there. And so it was good to be able to be there with him. Since RB retired, we've stayed in touch. We go to lunch every once in a while when our schedules actually permit it, or his schedule is mine, because I don't have a whole lot. But RB's been a great friend for me and a great speaker for me to have today. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for being my guest speaker. Thank you to everybody who's participating in the ceremony today, especially some of you that aren't part of my command or that were pickups from everywhere else. It's hard when you have a small detachment of 12 people to run a whole ceremony like this. So we've had to play pickup, and we've gotten a lot together. So I'm very thankful for everybody that worked hard on that. Chief Stefanelli, who's hiding in the back over here, really ran a lot of stuff to the ground for me. Really got most of this ceremony together. So thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. The rest of my CSCS detachment. It was a great way to go out, is to be there with you guys as my last tour. You guys are true professionals, and you all have long careers ahead of you. So I thank you for all that you have done. Finally, to my beautiful, amazing wife, Lisa. Even though we've only been married a short time of this long career, you constantly encouraged me and supported me from the beginning. You've showed me how important my career is, how important it's been, and how proud you are of everything I've done. I can't even begin to tell you how thankful I am for you and how much you mean to me. Thank you for waiting for me since ninth grade. Thank you for always being by my side. We have a long future ahead, so let's get it started. Finally, Emma and Aiden. Please come up to the stage. Just because, I like to embarrass you. As I've been preparing for this retirement, and as I told you, I was thinking a long time about what I was going to say. Most of that time was spent on what do I say about these two. And this ceremony is just a chance for me to thank you both for all you've done and endured. I found a special military child's medal and certificate, and I really liked what it said. I liked how it worded things. But then I looked at it and I said, well, they really don't need any more medals because they have enough medals from everything else that we've done. And so instead, I'm going to give you a flag that was flown over Naval Base Kitsap. Remember the times we've had while we all served our country. So first I'm going to read the citations. Emma and Blaine Laurion, throughout the years of your life, you have made sacrifices, and you have served your country as much as I have done. In your loving way, you quietly shouldered the heavy burden that you were asked to carry. Most of the time, you cannot understand why I was not there, but you quietly hid the tears, you courageously put on a smile, and you defiantly promised that you would support me. You were then, as now, one of the most important parts of my life, and it was your love that enabled you to assure me that what I was doing was important. I missed so many holidays and countless special occasions while you were left at home to worry while I was on difficult missions. You had to say goodbye to friends when we moved throughout the years, and you had to change schools. Your resilience and self-confidence throughout these frequent moves gave me strength. I am proud of you, and it was your love and support that sustained me in those difficult times. There is no way in my mind that I could have been a success in the military without having your support, your understanding, and most important, your unquestionable love. Thank you for being there for me. I love you both, and I am proud of you both. We got the medal and a picture of me with them in uniform. Okay, that's enough of that hard stuff. I've been very blessed to be from a family that understands what it's like to serve. As I look back throughout my family history, we have over 40 members of our family that have served in a different way or another throughout this time. With the Navy, of course, leading the way. For my great-grandfather, Homer Laurion, and his 5 children, including my grandfather, that all served during World War II together. My many uncles that have heeded the call, my stepdad and brothers who all served. But this list isn't just serving and getting out. It also includes many that are retired with more than 20 years of service. I want to take a minute to honor all my family members that have retired before me. And if I read your name, please stand. My great-uncle Louis Laurion, my cousin Dennis Laurion, my cousin Ken Laurion, my cousin Jason Janik, my uncle Roy Perry, my uncle Mike Perry, who was the first LDO in my family that led to me wanting to be an LDO, and then my brother after me. My uncle Doug Potter, my cousin John Potter, my father-in-law Lloyd Tufts, and the newest member of my retiring family, my brother Jason. We also have cousin Ian Charters, who's still over 20 years and still serving. I also want to say thank you and honor those who are here today that have retired after more than 20 years. So if you're here today and you've retired, please stand. I see a few. Yeah, there's. Thank you all very much for your service and your time, and those that served with me, thank you for our time together. As most of you know, I've been in uniform for 29 and a half years. It was very kindly brought up all the things that have happened that many times. As I said, I wasn't going to stay in the Navy. I was getting out after 4 years. But my captain called me in, J.C. Harvey. Ended up being a 3-star admiral in charge of all of the service forces. And he said, no, we need people like you to stay in, Blaine. I'll do whatever you want. I didn't believe him, so I took the challenge. And then I spent many days on the phone with the detailer from Egypt trying to get a hold of what they were going to give me next, because he promised me whatever I wanted. I ended up getting somewhat what I wanted, but it was in the recruiting job, which was ended up being a little more painful than I liked it to be. The average age in the military right now is 28 and a half years old, with over half of them under 25. I used to think it was really funny when I would see somebody who had been in longer than people that were in their division. And then I became one of those people 11 years ago. The people that worked for me hadn't even been born yet when I joined. That's a challenging thing when you're a leader, to have to bridge that big of a gap between people. 29 and a half years ago, that's a long time. That means this speech is going to drag on for a very long time. I actually printed it out this morning, and it was 51 pages long. And then I realized, well, the font was too big. You guys all could have read it from out there, so I had to shrink it back down, so now it's less.
And then I threw away all the middle pages.
No, but really, I just wanted to just tell a couple short stories. I wanted to tell you about some of the places I've been, and hopefully a couple words of wisdom. I hope not to be too much longer, because I know it's time to get out of here. Here goes the story part. In 1988, when I joined the Navy, we were in the tail end of the Cold War. For those of you that don't really know what the Cold War was, or remember that was just us and Russia being mean to each other and posturing all over the world. We never really shot at each other. We just kind of flexed our muscles all over the place. My first deployment was in the summer of 1990. We made a quick stop in the Philippines, all of a day and a half. It was interesting because that was the place everybody wanted to go, was the Philippines. Well, the first time and only time that I got there, the gates were closed because there was a sniper out in town somewhere, and we didn't get to go anywhere or do anything. And we actually got hazardous duty pay just for pulling in there. So it was interesting. But because of that, we were given an extra port in Thailand. We went to Singapore, which for those of you that have been there know it's an amazingly beautiful city, the cleanest city in the world that you'll ever find. We went to Thailand, as I said. We weren't ready to go to Thailand. We didn't have the charts for it. We had to have somebody fly the charts out to us just to pull in there so we could navigate into the port. No ship had pulled into the backside of that port before. So we had to have a small boat go out and drop the line to see how deep the water was the whole way in the channel, because we were actually afraid we were going to run aground. As you looked out the back of the ship, you could see the dirt flying up behind the ship, nice dirt, dark water. We probably scraped our sonar dome on the silt down below as we went in, but we made it in. It was an amazing city for me because of all the food and the fun that you could have there. The scuba diving, the food, the tours, the food. I went out in town a couple years later with another guy, a young guy that had never been there before. And we went out to lunch, and he was dying. It was so good. And then, as we're getting ready to leave, he's like, hold on, I got to order more food to take back to the ship with us. Because he couldn't get enough of it. So he ordered a couple more meals to take back with him for that night. So anyway, we enjoyed that. The other thing we did from there, we went into the Gulf. As Ricky said, the Gulf at that time was nothing like it is now. We just had a few ships in there covering the tanker wars, which was just kind of some cargo ships and tanker ships being attacked. mostly by the Iranians, but it kind of went back and forth with some other countries. So our job was just to kind of hang out and be the police in the area and make sure that nobody was attacking ships. We spent a lot of time pulling in and out of Bahrain, a little tiny country in the middle of the Gulf. Back then, there were 4 buildings. If you go there now, it's a full base. They have, I don't even know how many, it's huge. Actually, you were there for a little while, too, yeah. But it's amazing how much bigger it is and how much things have changed there. Back then, we had a swimming pool, a base club, and a little tiny movie theater. That was it. One of the times we were there, as we were getting ready to, I think we had about a month left. We were off getting gas in Kuwait just before it was time for us to leave. We pulled offshore a little bit, settled down for the night because it had been a long day getting fuel, only to be woken up by the general quarters alarm. For those that are in the Navy, we know that's the highest state of readiness. That means something's happening. Everybody has to get to their battle station. So I rushed up to combat, which is where I hung out, and my chief grabbed me and threw me on the radar scope and said, sit there and look for any fast-flying aircraft or any missiles coming in. And I'm like, what's going on? And that was when Iraq did the first attack Kuwait. That's what started the whole Gulf War. I sat at that scope, staring holes into it, scared to death that I'm going to miss something. Luckily, I didn't miss anything. Luckily, Iraq really didn't care about us out there. They just wanted to take over Kuwait. The next night, as I was taking over the mid-watch, I was getting down onto my radar scope, and all of a sudden I started noticing aircraft popping up, or little blips on the screen popping up. Didn't know what it was. I knew it was aircraft. And then there were more. And then there were more. It was getting pretty crazy up there. There were a lot. And next thing you know, the whole place started lighting up with noise. It was our IFF, our identification friend or foe alarms going off. Basically, they turned on their emergency squawk, as we call it. They turned on their emergency stuff. And they were hauling to get south. It was a Kuwaiti aircraft trying to escape with what little aircraft they had left down to Saudi Arabia so they could save their aircraft before Iraq took them all over. It was interesting, though, because we sat there watching it, and you're just kind of sitting there watching, and they're popping up, and more are popping up, and you're going, what the heck is going on here? And as we figured it out, we just watched them all fly. But at first, of course, we were scared that we might get attacked. My ship ended up leaving the Gulf before the real shooting started, though. We were just the original Desert Shield force. It only grew from there. We sat around in Long Beach waiting for our chance to go back, waiting for the chance to go and shoot a few missiles. Unfortunately, we didn't make it back there for that part, but we did a lot of other stuff. Like any person that has served too many years, I have a million stories from various deployments. Like the time we lost power in the northern Gulf by ourselves and sat for 8 hours in the heat. The amazing lightning storms I've witnessed. The boarding ops in the Red Sea. The night we drove circles in one area all night long, only to wake up and see a floating mine next to us. Racing up and down the Gulf as a floating gas station, doing security operations for the Iraqi oil platforms. The thing that I look back on and remember is I was part of every phase of the Gulf War. Finally, on my last deployment, I was there when we pulled out of Iraq for the last time. As we turned off the lights, I was sitting there trying to keep some sort of a system together for all the aircraft that were flying back. And I realized I've got to be one of the only people that was actually there from the beginning until the very end. Because who else has been in that long? I won't bore you with any more of those crazy stories of deployments. If you want to talk about them, give me a call. We're going to grab a beer or something and we'll talk some stories. But I won't bore the rest of you. The Navy has allowed me to visit many different countries. When I first came in, I heard about sailors that all they saw was the local bar when they pulled into a port. And like my dad. And I said, that's where that story came from. Yeah. And I said, that's not going to be me. If I'm going to this country, I need to go see that country. And so every place we went to, I got involved. I got on a tour, or 2 or 3. I went and got involved in a community relations project. We're painting playground equipment in Cabo San Lucas to helping special needs children in Singapore. There was always something fun to do. It always gave me a sense that I was giving something back to that country. One thing I'll tell you though is I've been to some amazing countries that honestly, if I had to pay money to go to, I probably never would have seen. So, just to give you an example, these are the places I've been. Too long a list, I don't know if I'll finish it. Cabo San Lucas, Yokosuka, Japan, Hong Kong, Manila, Philippines, Busan, South Korea, Patong Beach, Thailand, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Melbourne, Australia, Perth, Australia, Sri Lanka, Goa, India, Bahrain, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, Hurghada, Safaga, Cairo, Guam, and the list goes on. But most of those places I would never have gone to if it wasn't for what the Navy is giving me. It's always interesting to go to a country and then many years later go back and see that same country and see the changes. An example would be Dubai. The first time I went there was nothing there. We pulled in, I went to the little bit of a souk, which is the little shopping area, and there was nothing there. We just walked around and said, yeah, that's good, we left. Now if you go there, the world's tallest building is there. They have shopping malls that have a ski jump in them, or a big ski area in them. They've got, anyway, it's amazing. So the difference you can see in these countries. Or Hong Kong. First time I went there was British colony. The next time I went there it was taken back over by China, or given back to China. Didn't really change much, but it was just interesting to see some of the dynamics that were there. I've been blessed to be in the Navy for a long time, and I've seen many things. I take away many things from the Navy. My hearing aids, my orthotics, and a few other things. But the real takeaway is the experience that I've had as a leader. I was thinking about that and a few of the points that I want to bring up today, because these points are useful in any leadership position. I could give a whole list of leadership ideas and thoughts and plans and, bore you all to death with all the physics and everything else of being a good leader. I started out as a very junior person, cleaning the toilets, scrubbing the decks. Worked up to being in charge of a small work center. Became the operations officer for the 3rd largest naval installation. And now I lead a small training command. So I've seen a thing or two about leadership throughout my time. I've been able to observe many great leaders. I've been able to observe a few very poor leaders. And that's one of the first things I want to tell you. Learn from everybody. Whether they're a good leader or a bad leader, they have something to teach you. Because a bad leader is going to teach you what not to do and what's not effective. But you have to be good at paying attention to that and not following in their footsteps. Don't assign anyone a job that you're not willing to do yourself. I'll give you an example of that. As the operations officer, I had a lot of people working for me. One group would go out and give parking tickets all around the base in Bremerton. That's not a very fun job because usually it's raining. Usually there's a shipyard worker out there that's going to yell at you the whole time because he's supposed to be parked in there even though he's not. So I would go out there and write tickets myself because I wanted to show my people if I'm willing to do it, if I think it's important that I'm going to go out and do it, then they can now know that it's important. So that goes for a lot of different things, though. If you're going to assign somebody something, you should be willing to do that yourself in some way or another. Treat everyone with respect. Whether they're the lowest person or the highest person, they all deserve the same respect. An example I have for that is an article I've read many times. I really love this article. talks about a janitor at the Air Force Academy. All the cadets don't really notice him. He's just there cleaning their toilets, sweeping their floors, doing their stuff. They don't notice him. He's just a janitor. Well, during one of their research assignments in their class, somebody ran across the fact that this is a Medal of Honor. That changed everything. Suddenly they respected this guy. Suddenly he was part of their company. Suddenly he was somebody to be around. So you never know who's around you. You never know who's with you. Treat everybody with respect. Praise in public, correct in private. I've heard that before. It's a hard thing to do because when somebody does something wrong, we want to chew them out, beat them up, and move on. But that doesn't help them in the long run. The last word of wisdom I have for you today, if you're not enjoying what you do or believe in the mission, it's time to move on. I've been lucky enough to enjoy what I do during this time, so somehow I'm still here, or at least for a little while. It's not worth the headache if you don't enjoy what you do. It's not worth the headache if you don't believe in what you do. Finally, as I wind up my time here on the stage, I want to give you the biggest word of wisdom I have. Take time to slow down, enjoy the beauty around you. The sunrises, the sunsets, the waterfalls, and all the other amazing gifts that God has given us. They're all there. Just slow down and watch. Take a look. I try not to miss very many if I can help it, as my lovely wife knows. As soon as I see the sun starting to set, I want to run out, go take a picture. Thank you again for coming today. Thank you for being a part of this, for helping me share this special day with my family. We're planning a reception, a little bit of a birthday party or whatever, at Arena Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't know where that is, it's in Bremerton off of Wheaton Way. So hopefully we'll see you all there. It's going to be right after we finish here. We're heading over there, 4 to 7 or whenever. Depends how things are going. Thank you all for coming.
Boatswain, stand by to pipe the side. This order has been passed on naval ships from the early 1500s through today. Spanish, French, English, Dutch. Every navy in the world has used the boatswain call and side boys to bring aboard or send ashore all its officers, and visiting dignitaries. The side boys would haul on the ropes to raise or lower the boarding platform so officers would not have to climb the rat lines, which were hanging over the side and used by the enlisted crew when going ashore or to get aboard. This honor was extended to visiting officers, dignitaries, and port officials. It was not uncommon for the commanding officer of a naval ship to order up the jolly boat, a crew of 8 strongbacks, to man the oars, boatswain, and side boys to send an old shipmate ashore to his retirement home, ashore, never to sail on a naval ship again. All hands on deck was passed. Speeches were made about great victories, battles fought upon the open sea, raging storms weathered, and voyages to distant lands with ports of call others only dreamed about. Then, a fine sword, a brace of pistols, a rifle or musket, or maybe a sea chest of fine wood, bound in brass, was presented to remind him of the crews and the ships he had served with, and taken ashore by 2 enlisted strongbacks. The boatswain would stand tall, the side boys, and the retiree would request permission to go ashore, step to the platform, and the side boys would lower away. As the jolly boat pulled away, the gunner would fire a salute from the ship's main battery. The retiree would be seated in the stern, going ashore. The 1700s saw the United States Navy set sail. They set sail with the ideas and goals that would make them the best Navy in the world. They also had the desire to build traditions that would stand the test of time. But now we're a new Navy. We have given back most of the pomp and circumstance, the honors, traditions, and ceremonies, back to the halls of naval history. Our world does not give us the time or the freedom to do the things from the past, those things that said, we are the United States Navy. But still today, we heave to, stop all engines, lay about smartly, drop the anchor, and stand by to pay honors to our shipmate, a shipmate going ashore, to honor the years served and the guidance, leadership, experience, and friendship that this shipmate has given the past 29 years. Will the guests please rise and remain standing until the conclusion of the ceremony? Mr. Chad Alvarado will now give the benediction.
Dear Lord, we praise you for all that you have done for us. We thank you for this ceremony which is meant to honor those who have served. Dear Lord, we ask your blessing not only on this day, but on the many days to come. Dear Jesus, we thank you for your sacrifice and your example of what it means to be a servant leader. We now commit Blaine Laurion to serve his family and to those in this community in a new way. Lord, we pray that you'd bless this next chapter of his life even more than the last chapter. And God, until his final days set, God, may we look to him and to you, God, for direction. We thank you and commit the rest of this day to you in Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen.
For 29 years, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this shipmate stood the watch. Yes, even before some of us were born into this world, this shipmate stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this shipmate stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times, but he still stood the watch. He stood the watch for 29 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly in safety each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today, we are here to say, shipmate, the watch stands relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved. We have the watch. Boatswain, stand by to pipe the side. Shipmate, going to shore.
Both sides. Sideways, close.
Push it, Brandon. Go ashore.
Lieutenant Commander Blaine Laurion, United States Navy, retired, departing. Navy family, departing. On behalf of CS Det PNW, I'd like to wish Lieutenant Commander Laurion and his family every success in the future. This concludes today's ceremony. On behalf of Lieutenant Commander Laurion and his family, thank you very much for taking part in this time-honored tradition. You are all invited to join us for a retirement and birthday gathering at Arena Sport Bar and Grill immediately following. Thank you.